Hello Wargamers and welcome to another Steel Division Normandy 44 with me, Bubblebox, and today we're going to have a look at one of the new divisions that were brought into the game in the last couple of days. We're going to have a look, do a kind of review critique and show you the deck I built for the 2nd US Infantry Indianhead. And then tomorrow I'm going to post up a gameplay with this particular division. I've played a couple of games with them already and I've sorted out my deck. This is the deck that suits my game style. It's not the sort of battle group that everyone would choose. Certainly some would get AT guns instead of the anti-tank destroyers. But you can post in the comments below as to what you think and what I should take. But I think this I like my units to be a lot more mobile. And I know people do have a go at me a little bit for not using more anti-tank guns. But anyway, we'll get on to that. But let's start off with the Recon. The Recon tab can often appear a little bit confusing, especially I think for new players. So we'll go through it reasonably slowly because this is a new game. First of all, you've got in section A, you've got a good selection of Recon for this particular battle group. You've got the two-man squads. These are your most basic type of Recon. They can't do much in the way of fighting, but they're really good for sneaking behind enemy lines because they've got very good stealth and very high optics. They can see a long way. They also come in the Jeep with a little 30 cal, well, it's a 30 cal machine gun, which can be useful against other infantry and perhaps light vehicles as well. They're not vetted up or anything. They come in the Jeeps, and I've got a set of those in my deck. And then we've got some of these, and these I really like the look of. These are a Recon unit with an awesome bazooka, the M1 bazooka, anti-tank rocket launcher, with an AP of 8, which is really high for an infantry unit's anti-tank weapon in this game. Range of 200 meters as well, which isn't too bad, so you can hide them in a bush and shoot out onto the road. If you can get them sort of angled on a nice big expensive enemy tank. And you can of course sneak these behind enemy lines without them knowing they're even there. They come in the 4 GPA, which will disappear, but they are a 3-man squad and they are a very nice unit for 30 points at the beginning of the game, I believe, for getting behind enemy lines. And they are elites. They've got 2 stars already, so they're going to be pretty effective. Also, you've got the basic infantry, basic Recon infantry again, exactly the same as at the start there, but this time you've got them in the M20, which has got the 12.7mm heavy machine gun, which is going to be useful for shooting infantry, useful for everything really, shooting light vehicles, even suppressing lighter tanks, I guess, and also suppressing aircraft right as they start coming over your front line. So you can get 2 sets of those if you wanted. I've actually got 1 set of those in my deck, or I did get a set of the Marauders, the Ranger Marauders with the anti-tank, a set of these as well with this M20. I just think it is a little bit expensive perhaps for some people to bring out 55 points at the start of a game, and often I do bring these out at the start, or I will be bringing these out at the start, because I just think with that machine gun on top, a little bit of armour as well, I mean these vehicles as well as the Recon to sneak behind enemy lines, really nice unit. In B it's more of the same, or no, more of the same but slightly different. The scouts in B are the basic, are a better strength, so it's a 4-man squad this time, and a different scout vehicle, the M3 scout. This is kind of not quite as good as the M20 because it's just a little bit less armoured. It's got the same gun, it's just a little bit less armoured, it's just a slightly worse vehicle, but you get more guys, so they're going to be a little bit more survivable and are going to be able to fight back a bit better if they're caught out. You can get a load of those in B if you want. I haven't put a set of those in my deck. And then we've got the M8. Now this I was kind of overlooking a little bit perhaps when I was doing the US deck previously, the other US deck that's in the game at the moment, but having a second look at it, it looks pretty good to bring out in kind of phase B and also in phase C if you've got tanks or tank destroyers especially on the map that you want to spot for and you want to be a little bit more mobile. It's got a 7 AP range 1000 main gun and it's got 2 really decent machine guns. the smaller 7.62mm and the 12.7mm gun that can shoot at aircraft and really suppress and destroy light vehicles as well, and it's got that armour to help it, give it a little bit of survivability. So I've got a set of those in my deck as well, in my battle group. I keep calling them decks. I think we should call them battle groups. Divisions to me are really big. I mean, battle groups probably is an explain all kind of, a describe all kind of term. Moving on to the infantry. Now the infantry are really good, I think, in phase A and phase B for this particular deck. What you might do is get a problem with perhaps availability, but the quality is definitely there. First of all, I've gone for a leader, and it's an experienced leader as well, so it can fight back in its own right. We've got a 4-man squad, some decent weaponry as well, including these satchel charges, TNT it calls them, they're called satchel charges or what, with 22 HE. So a pretty decent leader group, 15 points, comes in the for GPA. A lot of these units come in these odd looking amphibious vehicles, which will hopefully be of use. Well, they won't be of use in later games because they disappear when you unload your units. So you can get those, and then I've got a set of those, and you've got the Ranger supports, which is a little bit more, let's just pin those, a little bit more expensive, but this time they're a strength of 6, so a little bit more survivable, and they've got two medium machine guns, so they're going to just be able to bring a lot more pain down on the enemy than the leader. So you've got your leader, and then you've got your support team, and they're both elite, so they're going to be able to do together a lot. Well, in fact, do you need the leader if they're 2-star? I'm not sure. I don't think you probably do you? Because they're already 2-star. So yeah, they're going to bring a lot of pain down. The leaders probably are more useful to bring along with these guys, the rifles. The rifles are going to be your mainstay in infantry because they're cheap and they're plentiful, and they come in a squad of 12, and they come in these really awesome looking vehicles. The Dukwa, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, the D-U-K-W, I don't know what it stands for. If anyone knows, please do post it in the comment below. The Dukwa, which does actually have a little 2 front armour, and so that's pretty good. But yeah, 12, so they're going to be very survivable. They've got some okay armaments. They've got 2 kind of these automatic rifles as well. So they're going to be really useful for town fighting. And then I've got a set of those in my deck. And then we've got some assault troops, the Ranger assault troops. These are a squad of 6, so not quite as survivable as the rifles, but they come in a weird looking vehicle as well. But what they do have is these flamethrowers, which we're going to produce a lot of suppression to the enemy, and have a 6-meter area of effect as well, if you want to bring those into your town fighting, or to maybe flush out some units from some bunkers or something. And I've got a set of those in my deck. We've also got these guys, which I don't believe I did put in my deck this time. I have kind of top loaded quite heavily into A just to make sure we can take ground at the beginning of a game. We've got these guys which have got the 7.62mm machine gun. Again, very useful, but I don't like this because I like to be quite manoeuvrable with my units, and these can only fire while stationary, so you have to get them into a good position and sit them in a building to fire perhaps at a reasonable range. You don't want them up too close to the enemy. You want these firing and supporting really your other units, and for me that's just too much micro, so I haven't put those in my deck. In B, again, we can go through A quite slowly. In B and C we can go through normally a bit quicker because it's kind of more of the same really, but this time we do have rifle leaders. So we've got 3 sets of those. The leaders, I'm realising more and more, are so important when playing this game, not just for your infantry but for your artillery, for your tanks, for your anti-tank weapons, for everything that you use in the game. But we'll talk about that maybe in another video. But yeah, you've got rifle leaders, and this is a real fighting force in its own right, as well as being a leader unit, and has some M1 bazookas with an AP power of 3 as well. So a very nice leader unit to bring in phase B, along with a lot more rifles, just exactly the same as in phase A, but you get a lot more. Sorry, where are we? Here, 6 sets of them. And then I have bought some M2 HB heavy machine guns in B, even though I said I kind of didn't like them in A. I have brought some of these guys forward in B. And then in C, really this was kind of one of the last things I put in the deck, was more rifles, because I think if I don't get into a town and take a town by the end of B, then yeah, if I'm still fighting, this is just in case I'm still trying to fight over a town when it comes to C. And you've got another 8 sets of your rifles to bring in the trucks. Now the tanks, yeah, the tanks are the very weak point for this particular division stroke battle group, and I've just got a couple of command tanks, and I'll tell you why I've got those in a minute. Now there is the M4A1DD. Again, I don't know what DD stands for. These are weird looking tanks that don't quite, they're having some sort of identity crisis and don't know if they're a tank or if they're a boat. They might be okay in A. They've got 10 AP power. They've got some really nice machine guns to support, can shoot at aircraft as well early on in the game, which you might want, and have actually got 9 front armor. But I haven't taken them because this deck is not meant to be a tanky deck. They are amphibious though, by the way, if we ever get any nice maps with some water on them. The command tank, now I bought these just so that I can support, and as we'll see later, I'll quickly show you my anti-tank guns more than anything. So that's what my command tanks are really for, and they are vetted up as well. So they will be quite useful if I do get into a firefight with them as well. They've got nice machine guns to give a little bit of anti-air and infantry suppression as well. That's the commander. And then we've got some, we do have some, if you want them, some M4A1s. These will be bought out in B. You can get 4 of them per card. Again, I haven't gone for a tanky deck here, and these I'm feeling, yeah, I can bring in 4 M4A1s in phase B, but then you get them to the front line, and then suddenly in phase C you get hit by Panthers and whatever else. So and these things maybe don't quite cut it against those bigger tanks, unless you have loads and loads of them, which you might want to do. But for me, this battle group's all about town pushes and bocage country fighting rather than fighters trying to fight in open areas. There is one big tank you can get out, or big-ish, not big compared with the German tanks that we've got in the game so far, the M4A1 Rhino, and this has some decent armour this time, and the normal machine guns and the main gun there. Support-wise, don't overlook your support. I think I did when I first started playing the game, but there is some decent support. I have got the M3 Commander, and in A. The reason that I've got that is that it's quite, if I can pin it up, it's got no armaments, but it's cheap. It's only 20 points, and this thing I can sit with my mortars, and that's the main reason for getting it. I can also use it for moving up behind tanks, or behind my anti-tank weapons if I need to, but certainly I want to use this just to support my mortars, so that my mortars and my other artillery perhaps is going to be firing a bit faster, and they're cheap. They're only 20 points, so you can do that, and you can have these anywhere behind your lines, just giving your units a bit of a buff and a bit of a veterancy increase. I've also got the Jeeps, which are the first one in A, as you can see here, just because they've got the really heavy machine gun, which is good at shooting pretty much everything, suppressing pretty much everything, even aircraft, and that's why I've got that in the deck. And it's got quite a decent range of 800. It's a bit squishy, of course. If it gets hit by a tank, it's going to get suppressed really quickly and then taken out quite quickly, and also by half tracks if you don't manage to suppress the half tracks first. Duckwers, you can get some Duckwers in A. And I have indeed got a set of Duckwers in A, mainly because I've got quite a lot of mortars, as you'll see later on in the artillery section, and they're going to need resupplying because they are quite heavy on supply for this particular US deck. So that's what I've got in A. I've got the Command, the Jeep, and the Duckwers. You can also get these things, which I haven't gone for. These are more for attacking infantry. Oh, in fact, they have got AP power as well. These are kind of, for me, these are a halfway vehicle. They're halfway between an anti-tank weapon and an infantry fighting vehicle, really. And they don't really, for me, have a particular role. They kind of have 2 roles, which makes them a little bit weak at both roles for 80 points. So that's why I haven't put them in the deck. But if you do want something for you to support your infantry in town fights, then this could be a weapon that you could use. And but you'd have to have a direct line of sight. This isn't indirect, so if you come up against tanks then you have a line of sight on them, they are going to have a line of sight on you as well, and you've only got 3 front armour. Now these guys though, the M7DD, these do look good, and I have got a set of these in my particular deck in Phase A as well. You've got this really nice main gun with a range of 1,200 meters, so you can support your infantry and still remain out of range of the enemy tanks if you micro them successfully, which I sometimes do and I sometimes don't do. I'm not sure whether these are two huge vents on the back. Are they actually radiators for the engine? I'm not sure. Maybe someone can let me know about that in the comments below, but I'm not sure the one at the back is going to be very effective if it's stuck below the one on the front, if it's an air intake, but a bit weird. But the main gun is powerful enough, 15 HE, with that range is what does it for you. You do have to have a direct line of sight though, but you do have a bit of armour as well, so you can be a little bit cavalier but not too cavalier. You probably get targeted by aircraft if the enemy sees you with this in the vicinity. And you've also got a couple of nice machine guns for suppressing infantry as well, so a really nice infantry support vehicle there. In B, you can get some flamethrowers if you want. I haven't put these in my deck because I think I've got enough in the infantry tab really with the support units. I've got some napalm launchers, so I think I'm quite happy to have those rather than get some more napalm units in the support section. So I didn't take them, but you can get them in the support section if you want them. I have got another set of Duckwers in B though. I could have got more in C, but I just went for the resupply vehicles in B because it's no good bringing them out in C if the game's over by then. So you need to keep your units resupplied, especially the mortars and your artillery, all throughout B. So that's why I've got the Duckwers in B. And you don't want to be transporting Duckwers between. You want to be spreading out your artillery so it's not counter-arted too easily. So you do need 2 or 3 Duckwers so you can move them around to your artillery a little bit at the back line. You don't want just one Duckwer and you have to keep moving it around. It just takes too long, and you know, it's just ridiculous amount of micro. You can also get some of these. Now these do look good actually, I've got to say. They're a command vehicle with the 50 cal on top, but they cost 50 points. You get 2 of them and they cost 50 points. But we can already get them in the Recon section, can't we? Here they are. For 40 points. Now the reason they're 50 points is because they're a command, but they've got the same weaponry and everything. But for me, in the support section, I'd rather just go for the cheap 20 point command vehicle in A, really, rather than have to wait until B to get the one with the 50 cal when I'm going to have 50 cals anyway with my Recon units. So that's my reason for not getting those in the deck here. Then we've got some more of these things which we've already spoken about. Of course you get more of them, they're vetted up as well. And more Duckwers if you want the Duckwers in C as well, if you're really going heavy on the artillery. So that's my support tab. Now, anti-tank. Now this might be a little bit controversial. Again, let me know in the comments below, I don't mind, just tell me. I haven't gone for any AT guns in A. Now, a lot of people are going to say this is a huge mistake, and it might be a huge mistake. I'm going to have to play this deck really to find out, because I am really short on the heavier type of anti-tank weapons. Unless they come really close and my infantry can deal with them, I'm going to be in trouble with the anti-tank weapons perhaps. But I like my anti-tank weapons mobile, not stuck in a tree line for half the game. They have got the, but if you do want them, they've got the 57mm, so this is an actual decent starter anti-tank gun for Phase A. It's reasonably powerful with 11 AP and deal with most things you're going to get in Phase A that comes at you, apart from some of the, apart from the jumbo maybe. And then we've got this guy. Now this guy is good. I mean, this 76mm gun, if you'd like your anti-tank guns, this is going to be definitely going to be wanting to get this in Phase A. And I was really tempted to get this in Phase A, maybe instead of one of the cards of... I'm almost tempted to swap it over now, but I'm going to leave it as it is because I've already played a game with this particular deck, so I want to show you. But yeah, I might actually swap one of my destroyers out for this 76mm, so I've got some anti-tank in A. But this thing, really, really nice, isn't it? 100 points, but worth every point. 14 AP power, range of 1,200 meters. Stealth is medium, so I'm guessing you'd have to put it in some heavy cover for it not to be seen from a distance by the enemy's recon. In B, you can get some bazookas. Now, again, I could have put bazookas, but we've got plenty of infantry anti-tank we've got some recon with anti-tank weapons, and we've got some rifle leaders with anti-tank weapons in B. We haven't got any infantry, actual infantry in A with anti-tank weapons, and again this deck may be a little bit anti-tank light for A, and I think that might be the case, in fact, thinking about it. But we shall soldier on. But you can get your bazookas there if you want them. Oh, sorry, I have got... Sorry, brain freeze. Yeah, I had a moment there. I have bought the bazookas. I thought it was a bit odd that I didn't. I've just looked up there. I have got the bazookas in these jeeps. So, oh, good. So we have got some extra and really nice. The M1 bazooka, 6 AP power. So I have got those to bring into the town battles. Brilliant, fantastic. And then in B, you can get some more of these awesome 76mm anti-tank guns. You get 3 of them now, though. So if you like your anti-tank guns, again, you can get a load of them in B and start spreading them around to prevent those panzers overrunning you and overrunning all the ground that you've taken, so that you've so diligently taken in Phase A. And then in Phase C, yet more 76mm anti-tank guns, and then we can get the tank destroyers. Now you can get tank destroyers in B. They're not in this section because I've already, you can see I can pull them down. I've already put them in my deck, but I will quickly show you them. You can get the M10A1. Now the reason I've got these is because I want some mobile type of anti-tank weapon. You know, I play a lot of 10v10s and you have to be fairly mobile, or as mobile as you can be in those games, I think. They've got some okay armour, but they've got a decent gun for 130 points. But the main thing is their range is 1,200 meters. So you're going to have to use these things in the open. Bring along the command tank with you, or a command vehicle of some sort, and something to spot. Maybe bring along the M8 as well, and you got yourself some nice tank busters, especially if you bring them in a set of 2, maybe 3. Now I've got 2 in B, which I'm going to have to bring the command tank with, just to boost up their veterancy a little bit. And then in C, I've got a bunch more, 4 of them. One's already vetted up, which can kind of go around on the map on its own, and then we've got 3 more, which probably need a commander along with them if I'm able to do that. But I've got all tank busters in C, or tank destroyers in C. Again, if you think I should take more AT guns, just let me know in the comments. Anti-air. Now since the latest patch, I'm thinking let's just not go too crazy with the anti-air. You rarely shoot down a plane. All you need to do is stun the aircraft. And yeah, you can put 15 AA pieces in your back line, which the enemy is going to try and destroy with their artillery and their planes. But the amount of points you have to spend is just beyond belief. So I've actually, in A, I've got 2. And it's the M15 CGMC. Now why I've got these is because they've got a machine gun, and they've got this awesome weapon with a decent rate of fire, range of 1,000, area effect of 11. You can use these. They're mobile, they're half tracks, they can get around on the map, and you can use them to suppress infantry. You can use them near the front line, as long as you don't expose them too near the front line, because they are fairly weakly armoured. You don't want to be taking on too many big tanks with these things. So I've got 2 of those. Now if you are into your anti-air, you can get the Bofors as well in A if you want. Range of 1,000, a lot less mobile though. I mean, they pack a bit more of a punch, and they've got a slightly better range, but they're a little bit cheaper than the M15 CGMC. but they're just a lot less mobile for me in Phase A. In Phase B, I've gone for the M16 MGMCs, similar to the M15s, but a little bit cheaper because they've just really got the anti-air capability, but with an insane rate of fire of 1,610, which is why I've kind of gone for these in B. That is a hellishly large rate of fire, and you can see that they've got the yeah, they just look awesome. Basically, I think they're going to really be able to stun planes really quickly without you having to have too many of them. So bring them up close to your front line and you should stun those planes okay. Then you can bring your fighters in to finish the planes off. In B, you can also get the M15s in, the M15s that I had in A. You can also get them in B as well if you want a couple of those in B. And then in C, it's more of the M16s. A whole load of them. If you really do want a really strong anti-air net, then you can build that up in C, and you've got some Bofors as well for you in C if you need those. I have taken some Bofors in C. Again, this is one of the last things I did put into this particular battle group. Mainly I've got these in case I'm starting to bring out quite a lot of artillery and just to protect the lines in C, just to bolster the lines, but these will be one of the last units I bring out onto the field, probably in a longer game. And I'm going to be relying on my aircraft a lot more for anti-air since this last patch. Artillery. Now, this deck is strong in artillery, and you're going to need some supply in your support tab as well to go along with your artillery. In A, there's 3 different types of mortars you can have, and they kind of go up in range and up in power and up in price as well. The most basic type are these guys with a range of 900 and a decent, they're a decent mortar, but the range is only 900, and they've got 2 stars though, so they're vetted up. They're going to fire pretty fast. They're not going to need a commander next to them either, so you don't have to pay for that extra. So you can get those if you want. They're kind of your standard mortar, and you do get 4 of them as well, so you get quite a lot of them. So you can rain down a lot of mortars, so you can fire really quickly, because you'll have 4 and they fire quickly because they're smaller caliber and all that, but you do have to get them a little bit closer. Now what I've got, actually the next one up, is the intermediate one, the mortar 81mm. So it's all kind of the same gun. The range is longer, 1200. The rate of fire, I'm assuming, is less. Yeah, the rate of fire is less, and they're not vetted up at all. So you might want to bring a commander in just to make them increase their fire rate a little bit. And then we've got the ones that I've gone for. These would slot into A as well there. So the ones that I've gone for are these guys, the ones with the longest range. And I'll tell you why I've done that in a second. But they've got a range of 1600. The rate of fire isn't amazing at 9, but they do pack quite a punch with 16 HE and an area of effect of 38, so you can hit any town with these things at a distance. And the reason I've gone for these is you only get 2, yes, but they can't be counter-artilleried in the early part of the game because they're too far back for the enemy to hit them in Phase A, and it'll only be until Phase B and C, when the enemy get longer range artillery, they're going to be able to target these things effectively. Unless they fly planes over, of course. So that's why I've gone for those. I will also probably bring in a commander, one of the cheap ones, the 20-point commanders from the support tab, and a Duckwa, because these things are going to run out of ammo quite quickly. Apart from that, in A, well, that's it in A, mortars. In B though, these go in B as well. I've got the xylophone. Now the xylophone sounds like a musical instrument. Doesn't sound very powerful, but these things are good. Rocket artillery, range 1300, so you can keep them just about behind your front line when you're using them, and they can be used against, to stun up tanks, pushes. They can be used to assist assaults into buildings, to try to take out enemy AA, all that sort of stuff. Nice rocket artillery, cost 100, and they can of course be reloaded. But also in B, you can get these off-board artillery. Now I was debating about these, And I've actually in this deck gone for 3 sets, the M4A1 OPs, and I'll tell you why I've gone for 3 sets of these in B in a second, but let's have a look at it first. So it's off-board artillery, HE of, oh come on, there we go, HE of 16, infinite range of course, but of course you have to be able to spot for it, and an AOE of 52. And I bought 3 because I think with these you've got to concentrate your artillery in a small area, and if you've got 3 you can put 3 blotches down, or even if you use 2 you can put 2 down, and they'll really hammer that area, and then you can try to move your units in afterwards, and they can also be used to prevent pushes as well that are coming into your line. And I'll tell you why I've got that when we have a look at the off-board artillery in C. But just have a look at these first of all. In B you can also get the howitzers, the M2A1 howitzers of 105mm. I was tempted to get a set of these, but I don't know, I was kind of looking at them and I thought range 2400, HE 15, and then I looked back at my mortars and their HE power of my mortars is 16. They cost 100 points. Yes, and they're doing the same area of effect damage as well. Yes, the range isn't as good, but they're just as powerful as the howitzers, so why don't I just use the mortars? I don't need the howitzers unless you want a lot more artillery in your deck and you want to be able to put it further behind your line. So I did in this particular deck, again because I want maneuverability and be able to move around the map a little bit, not be too static, I got the I'll stick to the mortars instead of these guys, and I did get an extra set. Instead I got an extra set of those mortars, the 107mm mortars in B, instead of getting these things. I think that kind of makes sense. I hope it makes sense anyway. Now in C you can get some other off-map artillery. These guys, the heavy battalion, they do more HE power than the ones I've got in B. You can see they do 22 HE, and the ones in B do oh, you have to get them up like that, do 16, and these guys do a lot more. But I've got a weapon here which once they're fired is still useful, because you can only fire 3 rounds of off-board artillery with each of these, but I'll still have these machine guns to use afterwards. Whereas if you get the ones in C, you've got no weapon, and once you've used your off-board artillery your unit's pretty much useless. But in B you can bring them in earlier, you can use them earlier, and you've got two nice machine guns. I don't know why it's got a main gun, but you've got 2 nice machine guns that you can still use with a decently armoured vehicle as well, and the ones in C you don't get any armour. So that's my reasoning for bringing all that off-board artillery in during B. And then in C you can also get some more xylophones if you want more xylophones. I haven't gone for that. And then you can get a bunch more of the howitzers if you want a whole stack of howitzers in your deck. That's my artillery. Now the air tab. Now the air tab in this deck is really interesting. You get some fantastic aircraft and a really good mixture as well. You can get a grasshopper if you want a recon aircraft. I tend not to use these. I tend to rely much more on my phase A ground infantry recon really in my decks. I do see people use these. They can be effective, I guess, as long as you keep them almost behind your lines, because if you put them too close they're going to get shot down. And then you can get some fighters. In A you can get to P-38 Lightning, a reasonable fighter, and I've got 2 of those in my deck. I've got good agility, okay speed, well quite good speed in fact. Resilience is bad, but they're a fighter. So yeah, they're your standard fighter, very nice. And then that's about it in A I think you can get for this deck. Yeah, in B I've gone for a set of the Lightnings with rockets, these ones, which you can get in B. And if you compare them to the ones in A, they're only actually 5 points more. Their agility is the same, their speed's the same, their optics is worse, but yeah, that doesn't really matter. So for 5 points more you get a Spain with just as much agility and speed, but with 6 rockets as well. So I was almost tempted just to leave the planes until B and get a load of these things instead of getting the pure fighters in A, and I'm almost tempted to swap them out now, because they can double up as fighters, can't they, if there's the same agility, same speed and everything, and they've still got your 6 rockets just for an extra 5 points. So I got those. And then we've got the you can get some where are we? P47 Thunderbolts anti-air or air superiority fighters, or whatever you want to call them. Fighter aircraft for 150 points. But also in this tab we've got the P47 Thunderbolt with two, is it two? Is it just one? Well, with two, I think it's just one 230 kilogram bomb. Speed is a little bit faster with the Thunderbolt with the fighter plane, and the agility is the same. So you're paying 15 points more, you get a bomb on it, you get a little bit of reduced speed. So I've gone for the one with the bomb on. If you want pure fighter speed, everything that goes along with it, you get the P47, 47. But if you want a bomb for just another 15 points, well, go for the bomber, which is what I've gone for. Also in B, you can get some lightnings, and these are kind of heavier bombers. This time we've got two 450 kilogram bombs, so these do pack quite the punch. Again, if we compare them to the rocket plane, they are a lot slower. So, but apart from that, everything else is pretty much the same. Armaments wise, I think, yeah, agility wise is still good, but they're a lot slower than the rest of your aircraft because of the bomb load, I guess. And then also in C we can get the P57 Thunderbolt rocket aircraft for 210. These are just an upgraded rocket, I guess, or you get more rockets. I'll just have a look. I decided not to get them for some... Oh no, I did get them. I got two of them in C. If we compare them to the one in B... Hold on, what am I talking about here? Oh no, these are the rocket version. Okay, so yeah, the rocket version in C. And yes, I got it now. So these are going to be very useful in C. They're quite a powerful rocket strike aircraft. Again, speed's good, agility's medium, but these are your tank busters. These are for attacking or pushing back the pushes that are going to be made by the panzers later on in phase C. Yeah. Okay, so that, my friends, is pretty much it for this battle group. Please do put in the comments below what you think about this deck, what I should perhaps change in the deck, what you'd put in your deck for any particular reason or for any particular role in the game. And yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I'll put a gameplay up using this deck tomorrow. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.